and welcome to another remote edition of Currently in Quincy. I'm Joe Catalano, and on today's program, we will chat with President of Quinn Cycles, Irene Lutz, about how they're coping with the pandemic and how it's impacting bicycling here in Quincy. First, though, we check out the news for you. Currently in Quincy, there are 1,237 cases of coronavirus confirmed in the city. The death toll has risen slightly to 125, and recoveries remain at 1,001. Statewide, there are over 104,000 confirmed cases of the virus in Massachusetts. Now that the state is in the second phase of reopening during the pandemic, over 36 Quincy restaurants are offering outdoor dining. The restaurants all applied for special permits to feature the outdoor dining with proper social distancing and health guidelines. City Clerk Nicole Crispo says the city has made it easy for restaurants to get that special permit.
The city has put a link on the front page of the website right under the COVID-19 update. And you can click on there, go through a very streamlined, easy process with some questions of name, address, number of seats, what your intention is, a sketch, and that goes to the license board and traffic and parking. So we all take a look at it, and we certify that we've seen the plan, and they sign an attestation at the bottom, and if everybody is good, then their plan goes forward. They get a certificate that they can open their outside seating. There's also some spots in there for comments from the departments, and traffic has been wonderful. Health, of course. A special thank you to Jay Duca and Susan Kindergan, the administrator for the licensing board, who worked on the portal and put together this amazing application process that is really easy to use and super fast. So, we want to help everybody get open as soon as they can, but do it within the guidelines of the state. And the mayor's administration has worked with us on getting and the Chamber of Commerce, I should say, has worked on getting these restaurants open, and we're happy to see it.
Cottage Avenue in Quincy Center has been restricted to motor vehicle traffic to allow for the outdoor seating, and other restaurants have received permission to use parts of their parking lots or sidewalks. In addition, the 30 tot lots across Quincy are now open with proper guidelines for social distancing and hygiene. Quincy police are searching for a suspect in connection with a series of motor vehicle break-ins recently. Police say a man was captured on video surveillance breaking into several cars at Whitwell and Curtis Streets early last Friday morning. Man was described as a white male about 5'7", last seen wearing black jeans, a black hat, and sneakers. He's described as being unshaven with crooked teeth. Police say they did recover a black duffel bag and a department store bag containing several items that were stolen from those cars. Police say all of the vehicles that were broken into were left unlocked. This year's virtual Stop the Stigma 5K road race to support interfaith social services here in Quincy being called a huge success. The event, held over the Memorial Day weekend, raised over $65,000, with people from all over the country participating. Director Rick Doan says the funds will allow their therapists to conduct more than 2,200 counseling sessions to provide mental health treatment to people who can't afford it. Doan says the event exceeded all expectations given that it was forced to go virtual due to the pandemic. 750 participants took videos and photos of themselves running their own 5Ks to support Interfaith's New Directions Counseling Center. The Stop the Stigma was in its 46th year this year. The goal is to erase the stigma surrounding mental illness and addiction. Donations can still be made at stopthestigma5k.org. The 69th annual Flag Day celebration in Quincy will look much different this year. Instead of the usual parade and fireworks extravaganza, what officials are calling a unique celebration will take place this coming Sunday. People are encouraged to drive under a large American flag that will be suspended between two fire department ladder trucks on Marymount Parkway near Veterans Memorial Stadium this Sunday from 1 to 3 p.m. Mayor Thomas Koch says people should beep, should wave, and cheer and decorate their cars and themselves in their best red, white, and blue to celebrate the day. The annual event was canceled due to the pandemic, but Koch says he's preparing for the 70th anniversary of the Flag Day Parade next year to be the biggest and best ever. Koch's late father founded the celebration at Kavanaugh Stadium in 1952. Coming up, we will have a chat with Irene Lutz of Quinn Cycles next.
You've always protected me.
Whoa, and I still need you. Prescription pain pills, heroin, kids are getting addicted.
Can you still protect me?
Kids who talk with their parents about opioids are less likely to misuse them. Find out what you can say.
Are you a veteran, or do you know a veteran who is struggling with housing due to COVID-19? Veterans Inc. can help provide support services, including assistance with rent, deposits, utilities, as well as emergency housing, including hotel stays to eligible struggling veterans. If you or someone you know is in need of services, please call 1-800-482-2565 or go online to www.veteransinc.org.
People in Massachusetts are asking what they can do to help stop the spread of the virus. Our response? Answer the call.
Hello? Thanks for calling. I've been worried.
Thanks. Now I know what to do.
Through what's called contact tracing, the MA COVID team will be reaching out to everyone who's tested positive for coronavirus or who has been exposed. Look out for area codes 833 or 857 and answer the call to keep your community safe. Visit mass.gov/MA Tracing Team.
We're checking in with Irene Lutz from Quinn Cycles to chat a little bit about how the group is adapting to this new normal. Irene, great to see you.
Good to see you on Zoom too. It's a whole new world.
Yeah, exactly. The new normal here. But I got to thinking, just because I've seen so many more people out on bicycles, and now with the weather getting better. Gee, I wonder how Quinn Cycles is doing during this pandemic time, and how this has impacted, the bicycling culture. So I said, I know, I'll ask Irene. She would know better than anyone. So what's going on?
Well, I'm sure there are people who know more than me, but I'm happy to talk about what we're doing. This is 8 years since Quinn Cycles held our first meeting with Nathan Pipo, and it's our first when we haven't been able to lead rides. We made that decision with the shutdown order that even trying to limit the number of participants in our rides would be difficult. So we stopped for our, what would have been our kickoff. It started right when we would have started hosting rides. So we published our season, and we have lots of maps on our website, quinncycles.org, that we have been developing to show people how to get around the city without having to go on major roads that people usually think of because that's the way they drive. But there are lots of alternate ways to get around the city, to what things you need to do or just for fun. And so we've been showing people photos on our Facebook page of different destinations you can get to easily by biking Quincy, and pointing them to our website, and hoping that people will use that information to go out and safely socially distance, maybe riding with just their family that they were quarantining with, and wearing a face covering, doing all the things you need to do to be in compliance with state recommendations, but also getting the exercise that you need and the fresh air in a safe, socially distant way. So that's what we've been doing primarily to help people. I've noticed as well that really this boom in biking that we've been having throughout Quincy, throughout the South Shore, in Boston. I don't know if you're aware that bike shops were named essential during the shutdown.
Yes.
Because they're such an important part and support for our transportation network, right? So essential workers who bike to their jobs need to have a functioning bike. So because of that, partly, and also because of this new desire for people to try biking, a lot of bike shops are running low on bikes and doing a lot of, it's a booming business time. So a lot of people are trying biking and rediscovering the joy of biking is how I like to say it.
Yeah, well, I got to thinking too that with fewer cars on the road, what a great opportunity, if you've been hesitant because of traffic, to get out and try it. It might be a little more comfortable for folks.
Yeah, we actually we just created a survey within the last week. It's up on our website, again, quincycles.org, because we want to find out why people are riding more these days. Is it just to get out of the house because you're not going anywhere, or is it because your gym is closed? Or is it definitely because of the reduced traffic and that you feel more comfortable? Or is it all of the above? It could be everything. But we're trying to, find out from people what they're thinking and why they're trying biking now, and what we can advocate with the city to make that new resurgence in biking something that people are comfortable keeping up. So what's going to make you more comfortable on the road to continue biking?
Yeah, I can't help but think, too, that this would kind of give a whole new importance to bicycling, given what has happened as an alternate form of transportation. People might be taking a little bit more seriously at the government level than they had in the past.
Yeah, I think so, especially, there are the social distancing concerns on transit. And how do we accommodate the people those of us who need to or want to take transit? How do we maintain that social distance in an environment that isn't really geared toward that? And providing a comfortable biking network will encourage a lot of people to be able to choose to ride a bike and balance out the shift so that there's space on public transit for those who need to use public transit, and not everybody jumping into cars and creating congestion and traffic havoc as we reopen. So right. Yeah,
we saw the rental bike programs unfortunately go away in Quincy. Do you think this might create a new market for that now?
I'm not sure. The dockless bike share, from our experience here in Quincy, it seems to be a difficult business to maintain. Both OFO and Lime moved out of the bike share. Lime moved into scooters primarily. Mm-hmm. So I know that Boston's Blue Bikes, it changed over to Blue Bikes, is still up and running, and people are using it, and they're taking precautions in terms of cleaning the bikes, recommending people wipe them down when they start their reservation and after. So my hope is that we can bring some sort of dock bike share to Quincy where it's a little more established. I think the dockless was, I'm not sure. I'm not a business person in that sense, so I don't know what was the problem, but it seemed a bit challenging to maintain. Yeah.
Probably logistically, just in terms of gathering up the bikes, and bringing them back to a central location, took a lot of personnel and time, I'm sure.
Possibly. I mean, it's a great idea. It's a great way for people to try biking without the investment of purchasing a bike. And so for that reason, I think it would be wonderful to have something that people can do that with. But whether it's a private company or even the municipality, maintaining a fleet of bikes, it is a logistical challenge. A docked system maintains the order on its own a little bit by having to return it to that system.
Right. Is there has this led to a burgeoning secondhand bicycle market? Do you know?
I don't. I know that the Bikes Not Bombs is helping to connect essential workers who need bikes
Oh,
do bikes. So if you have a bike, you can contact them and let them know that it's available for someone who might need it, who doesn't want to take transit in, things like that. So that's one thing I'm aware of.
I'm sorry, what's the name again, Irene?
Bikes Not Bombs. They're a program that refurbishes bikes, teaches kids how to refurbish bikes, and donates bikes to communities around the world that could use them. So a lot of social justice work in addition to bicycle education.
Great, okay.
Yeah, they're fabulous. We actually had our own education program starting here in the city this winter. I was very excited. We did a series of education classes with the library.
Mm-hmm.
So we had a bicycle commuting, a winter biking class, and how to the ABCs of bike maintenance, the real basics of how to take care of your tires and your chain and your brakes. And then we also taught everyone how to fix a flat. So I'm hoping that as we start to reopen, that we can continue those classes and that education, because it was pretty well attended at the library, and unfortunately we can't have those group gatherings yet, so we have to figure out how to do it.
Yeah. Have more people found Quinn Cycles, do you know, or do you think that they will now?
I hope so. We're trying to get the word out there through social media, through this survey, just trying to help people find ways to bike through the city comfortably. There was a great article by Wayne Westcott in the Quincy Sun a couple weeks ago about cycling, and I thought it was really wonderful. Had a lot of great tips for the recreational and fitness and fun rider. There were a couple things I was like, that kind of made cycling sound a little expensive. Like you need, whether you should invest in cycling specific shoes or clothes. And one of our goals in Quinn Cycles is just to get people on bikes, right? You don't need the special clothes. You just need closed-toed shoes. They don't have to have the clip-ins, right? Any bike will do. We definitely recommend a helmet.
Yeah.
Protect your brain. And another thing he had said was biking primarily in daylight hours. And that is fun for the fun and fitness rider. That can be an option, but if you're a transportation rider, a lot of times you have to go in early or you're going to come home late and you're going to be riding in the dark. So investing in a set of lights to keep yourself safe and some reflective gear is important. But other than that, cycling is a very accessible form of exercise. There's lots of places in Quincy that are scenic that you can bike to. So check out our website. You'll find recommended rides that connect you to transit if you wanted to go there, but bringing you into the city centers and also out to our scenic beaches and up into the Blue Hills.
Yeah, I mean, and talk about a great way to social distance. If you're, unless you're on a tandem bike or a three-person bike like yours, you're pretty socially distant.
Yeah, you can still chat. It's easy to have a face covering with you, so that if you end up going through a crowded area, you can just put that up on and make sure that you are protecting yourself and protecting others, and following those guidelines. But yeah, it is a comfortable, socially distant way to get exercise and be with people.
Sure. I'm curious, have you heard about other cities or even other countries that, where bicycling has kind of taken over during this pandemic and become, more attractive than it might have been?
Yes, and this is something I'm hoping that Quincy takes advantage of as we start to reopen.
Yeah.
There are so many cities around the world that are saying, we don't want people to just jump in their cars and start driving again, and here's this opportunity to implement a safer, protected network that will encourage people to make a different choice. Mm-hmm. Those who can. We're never, not everybody's going to bike, and that's, perfectly reasonable. But every person who chooses to bike leaves more room for other people who need to drive, right? So it's a good balance. Places are encouraging outdoor dining for restaurants. Now, we've been seeing that discussed and getting those regulations in place with the governor and different municipalities. So if you open up a sidewalk for outdoor dining and then allow space in the road for bicycling and walking, you have a more welcoming, comfortable streetscape for the people who are dining and the people who are traveling in and out of that area. So hopefully Quincy will will incorporate more bicycling into those areas where those restaurants can have the outdoor seating and outdoor dining, and we can continue to build on that. Yeah, and I'm worried that people might jump right back into their cars or use their cars as PPE, right? When bicycling and walking are just as safe, socially distanced activities. So.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about the positive impacts on the environment. We saw such a drastic reduction in overall air pollution around the world when the pandemic first hit. So it proves that we can have an effect on it.
Yeah. I always like to say I bike for health, but for 3 kinds of health: my personal well-being for exercise and physical health, and actually could say mental health as well, because it's a very all exercise is good for your brain as well as your body, but also financial health, because it's a more affordable means of transportation, and community environmental health. So I 100% agree with you there.
Yeah, and unfortunately, there's no Pan Mass Challenge this year, but we've seen how bicycles are used to raise funds for needy causes and for charities as well. You couldn't really do that in a motorcade as opposed to a bike race.
I think it would just feel like traffic. Right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, the city cut the funding in the budget for our bicycle network this year.
Oh.
And they cut it by half, which I was really disappointed to learn about. Now, the mayor does point out that we received state funding for some complete streets projects that are going in this season, and I'm super excited about that. They're going to be really great. It's a protected bikeway over Quarry Street, connecting Granite to Milton, and also bike lanes on Coddington by the high school. And the amount of bike parking that Quinn Cycles has counted and seen at the schools, the middle schools and the high schools, it's encouraging that they're going to be investing in a bike lane outside of that. But my hope is that we can use the state funding for those big projects, but that the city funding builds the connecting bits through and between those big areas. So hopefully the funding we have will be able to come back after this economic downturn.
Yeah, I wasn't familiar. How much was cut? Do you know?
So 2 years ago, the mayor put in $50,000 line item. So it's not a huge amount of money, but bike infrastructure is not very expensive compared to motor vehicle infrastructure.
Yeah.
So that $50,000 has been in the budget for 2 years, and it was cut to $25,000 this year.
I see. Okay.
A full 50% cut.
Yeah. And I'm thinking too, with hopefully kids going back to school in the fall, they might not be able to have full school buses. So to be able to take their bikes to school, might be a huge benefit.
Biking is a huge benefit to all aspects of this recovery. The more people that we can get in transporting themselves by bike is going to just keep everything moving safely and comfortably.
Yeah. So any thoughts, Irene, as to when Quinn Cycles can kind of get together again as a group and start having events again?
Well, we're hoping soon. We were talking about at our last meeting, perhaps having a sign up to join the rides. And now that things are opening, we feel a little more comfortable with that. It just didn't feel right to say, hey, come join us for a ride when we still weren't opening as a community. But I think if we can limit the numbers of participants and maybe divide into smaller groups and go on the same route but leave space and time in between us, we might be able to start showing people around the city again. And that's what we love to do, right? We love to get people out riding bikes, and a lot of people are more comfortable trying that in a group first. So.
Sure. Yeah, now we're a little more familiar with, the social distancing and the face coverings and the hygiene. So there seems like there are ways to do things safely. Yeah,
absolutely. Some of our members have had, like groups in their community, their friends or their family going out for small rides. So they have techniques that they've figured out, things to remember. One of the things that can happen is when you hit a traffic light, everybody bunches up.
Yeah.
So maintaining that distance in a line will be important to habit to shift.
Sure. Yeah, part of it.
But we can do it. Bikes are adaptable. Yeah,
Part of the new normal again, we've been talking about, right?
of course.
Yeah.
New normal. So many changes. So many important changes.
Yeah. Has it affected you personally and in your family? I know that, biking is a big part of your lives.
Yeah, and ironically, we've been biking less because we're not going places as much. My husband and I are biking more for recreation. He's working from home, so he's not bike commuting to Cambridge anymore.
Okay.
Not all the time. I mean, he goes in occasionally. My kids are biking at this time of year. My husband and son are normally training for the MS ride, the Cape Cod Getaway.
Oh, yeah.
That usually starts in Quincy at the end of this month. That's not happening. They're going to do, they're challenging to do individual rides and raise the money that way. So socially distant around your community. Yeah. And I was training for a ride to Montreal. That was my big challenge this year. It was a fundraising ride for the Boston Cyclist Union. And I'm going to be riding every road in Quincy instead. So that is my goal. I don't know if I'll Strava it or not, but...
how many roads are there? Wow.
Yeah, I don't know how many miles in Quincy. I have to check with our traffic engineer before I commit, but it was a 400-mile ride, so if Quincy doesn't have 400 miles, I'll have to supplement with a lot of loops around the Blue Hills.
You'll have to do it a few times, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, have you been able to do any virtual rides at all at Quinn Cycles? Have you been able to utilize, teleconferencing at all?
Not on a group level, no. I know there are members who have Zwift or things like that, and there are ways to do social rides that way. But no, we haven't organized that as an organization.
Just picture everybody on a stationary bike, and about 50 different frames on the computer screen.
Yeah, these little postcard shapes of people that we have. We're all miniaturized now. So
yeah, exactly. Anything else you'd like to share right now?
Just remind people to go to our website for a couple things. If they can take 5 minutes, it's a less than 5 minute survey. Let us know if you're riding a bike in Quincy. I've tried to leave comment spaces on every question. So if what I've written doesn't fit who you are as a bicyclist, then you can let us know who you are as a bicyclist and what you need to keep biking in the city comfortably. And then also have a look at our maps and discover things in Quincy you can bike to that maybe you hadn't thought about before.
Okay.
So, yeah, and then also keep checking in for our rides because we will start them up as we begin to open.
Okay, and the survey results, Irene, will those be eventually posted up on the website too once it's completed?
That is my hope. All the answers will be confidential, but I'd like to definitely share what we learn with the community and with the city. So.
Sure. Yeah. Please let us know, when you're back in action. We can help you promote that here at QATV too.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Joe. I appreciate that.
Oh, it's our pleasure. It's great to see you. And please be healthy, and hopefully we can do this in person next time.
Yes, I hope so too. Continue to be well. We'll see you soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Special thanks to Irene Lutz for joining us today. Thanks to our crew working remotely from home, and thank you for watching. A reminder to please participate in the Quincy COVID Memories Project to document how the pandemic is impacting your life. The Thomas Crane Library, the city, Quincy 400, and all of us here at Quincy Access Television are teaming up to collect videos, photos, artwork, stories, any other reflections of life in Quincy during the pandemic. Go to quincyculturalmemory.com to upload your submissions, or you can send them to the Thomas Crane Library. Attention, local history at 40 Washington Street, Quincy, 02169. And do please visit our newly redesigned website at qatv.org. You'll find all of our latest programs along with news and information, video on demand, now live streaming as well. For all of us here at Quincy Access Television, I'm Joe Catalano. Please stay safe.